So let's say you are feeding your puppy and your puppy's just deciding it's not interested in what you're giving it. There are a lot of reasons that could happen. It could just be preference. Sometimes the dog's just not interested in what you're feeding it. And other times, the pieces of kibble are just a little too big for a small dog whose teeth and mouth are so small that it could actually be a little uncomfortable. There are a few things to give a try. If you have a little guy like this and you're giving it a hard piece of kibble, I would soak it in some water to soften it up a little bit. Or switch to a wet food. A lot of times dogs are really interested in a wet food, and there are some really great high-quality wet foods on the market. Traditionally, we thought that wet food was not as good as dry kibble, or that it wasn't as healthy or not as good for the dog's teeth. It's just not necessarily true. Hard food can actually sit on the gum line after they chew it and can cause damage to the teeth also. So if you are doing a dry kibble, you can mix in a little wet food or just switch to wet food altogether and see if that changes the dog's motivation to eat the food. You can also pour a little chicken broth over it. Adding human food to a dog's kibble is not the end of the world as long as you're not doing it from the table, so the dog is now waiting for you to do something spectacular to the food. It can just be part of the regular food preparation. You can also make it a little bit more exciting by having the dog work for that food. So you can either do a little training routine around the first couple of pieces of kibble to encourage eating, and then present the dog with the bowl, or ask the dog to do a down stay or go to its bed and sit to earn the food bowl. Sometimes, especially working breeds, they really get a kick out of that, and it makes it a little bit more fun. But it's usually a preference, just the food is just not palatable for the dog. So you may need to mix it up and try things out. You can actually go to a local mom and pop shop and see if they have any samples for you to try out and see if the dog is interested in it. But don't be afraid of wet food. Puppies tend to really enjoy the taste and consistency of the wet food. It can be just as healthy as the dry. Try some of these suggestions to encourage your puppy to eat.